Beneath our feet lies a hidden world, a labyrinth of secret tunnels, sealed chambers, and buried corridors stretching farther than most of us could imagine. Throughout history, humans have carved these underground spaces for survival, ritual, and secrecy. From the sprawling subterranean city of Derinkuyu in Turkey, sheltering over 20,000 people, to Native American legends of hidden peoples surviving cataclysms beneath the earth, and Russia's Mount Yamantau, shrouded in secrecy and suspected to conceal one of the largest underground complexes in the world. These stories share a striking truth. The underground has always been a place of concealment and power. But why do so many myths describe the same hidden realms? How did ancient civilizations build vast underground cities with primitive tools? And why do modern governments continue to construct secret networks beneath the surface, hiding their purpose from the world? In this documentary, we will journey through ancient ruins, global legends, and modern secrets, exploring the tunnels, chambers, and subterranean mysteries that have shaped humanity's fascination with what lies beneath. From archaeological marvels to forbidden passages still sealed today, the deeper we go, the more the pieces connect, and the more we realize the underground world has never truly been explored. The ancient site of Chavin in the Peruvian Andes reveals something even more extraordinary. Tunnels engineered not for defense or secrecy, but to transform the human mind itself. Chavin was a ceremonial and religious center that thrived from around 1200 to 500 BC, long before the rise of the Inca Empire. At first glance, its stone temples appear similar to other Andean monuments, but beneath the surface lies a maze of subterranean galleries unlike anything else in the region or the ancient world. These tunnels were never intended to shelter thousands of people or to hide royal chambers deep underground. Instead, they were built with remarkable precision to manipulate sound, light, space, and human perception. Archaeologists who have studied the complex describe the underground passages as engineered echo chambers and deliberately confusing labyrinths. Some corridors are so tight that a person must inch their way through sideways, while others open abruptly into chambers where sound warps, rebounds, and multiplies. Beneath the floors, stone channels direct torrents of water, producing a constant, thunderous rumble that reverberates through the walls. In pitch darkness, surrounded by shifting echoes and the deep roar of rushing water, the tunnels feel almost alive. Modern acoustic experiments at Chavin have revealed just how intentional this sensory manipulation was. Researchers brought conch shell trumpets, known to have been used in ancient rituals, and played them inside the galleries. The results were staggering. The blasts transformed into booming, animalistic roars that rolled through the stone passages, amplifying until they sounded like the growls of supernatural beings. Imagine approaching the site as a pilgrim centuries ago, stepping into the labyrinth with only the faintest idea of what awaited you. Total darkness, the walls vibrating with roaring sounds, echoes that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The overwhelming sense that gods, spirits, or monstrous entities were speaking through the very bones of the earth. At the core of Chavin stands the Lanzan, a towering granite monolith carved with the fierce image of a fanged deity. Hidden deep within the most inaccessible portion of the tunnels, it could only be reached by navigating the twisting labyrinth. Encountering the Lanzan was likely the peak of an initiation ritual, an ordeal crafted to dissolve ordinary perception, leaving the initiate vulnerable and receptive to visions, revelations, or divine communication. Here, architecture, sound, and darkness were tools used to induce altered states of consciousness. These tunnels are unique in ancient architecture. They were not created for defense, nor for storing food, nor even solely for symbolic religious purposes. They functioned as sensory instruments, deliberate mechanisms meant to destabilize, enlighten, and transform. The builders of Chavin engineered an early form of psychological technology. They used stone and sound to shape human experience. The entire underground system served as a ritual apparatus, a space where consciousness was broken down and rebuilt through sound, fear, disorientation, and awe. The secrecy surrounding the site heightens the mystery. Much of Chavin's symbolism revolves around duality, light and darkness, the earthly world and the subterranean realm, order above and chaos below. Daily life unfolded in the open plazas and temples, but true spiritual transformation took place in the hidden labyrinth beneath the city, a world accessible only to priests, initiates, and those undergoing sacred rites. Below ground was the boundary between the human world and the domain of the divine. The implications of this design are profound. If Derinkuyu's tunnels showcase human ingenuity in the name of survival, and if Teotihuacan's hidden chambers reveal the power of ritual secrecy, then Chavin points to a deeper, more intangible purpose: the deliberate use of architecture to alter human consciousness. These spaces were not symbolic metaphors carved in stone. They were functional sensory machines meant to provoke awe, terror, transcendence, and spiritual transformation. This forces us to consider an unsettling possibility. If ancient civilizations built tunnels specifically to change perception, could the countless myths of underground kingdoms, hidden worlds, and sacred realms be more than symbolic stories? Could they be cultural echoes, memories of places designed to manipulate the mind and reveal realities beyond the ordinary? The tunnels of Teotihuacan show how the underground could be turned into a tool for altering awareness. But around the world, many traditions go even further, speaking not just of chambers or ceremonial galleries, but of vast hidden kingdoms concealed beneath the Earth's surface, worlds that were never meant to be found by ordinary eyes. Mammoth Cave in Kentucky stands as one of the most powerful reminders of how nature itself can create underground realms on a scale that surpasses almost anything we can imagine. To date, explorers have officially mapped more than 420 miles of interconnected passageways, making Mammoth Cave the largest known cave system in the entire world. Yet even that staggering number is believed to represent only a fraction of the whole. Many researchers estimate the total system could stretch beyond 600 miles, and perhaps far more. Every year, cavers push deeper into the unknown, charting new extensions, only to discover more tunnels branching further into darkness. Imagine an underground world stretching the distance from London to Paris, twisting endlessly beneath solid stone. That gives only a faint sense of Mammoth Cave, a subterranean labyrinth, so immense that fully grasping its magnitude is nearly impossible. The passages inside shift dramatically in shape and size. Some corridors are vast and smooth, carved by ancient rivers that once cut through the limestone over millions of years. Others tighten into jagged crawl spaces where the air becomes heavier, and explorers must inch their way forward on their stomachs. There are caverns so enormous that visitors swear they resemble natural cathedrals, spaces where ceilings vanish into shadow, where every step sends echoes spiraling into the unseen. Standing inside such chambers, it becomes easy to feel as though you have entered another dimension entirely. And the deeper a person ventures, the stranger the experience becomes. Evidence shows that indigenous peoples explored parts of the system thousands of years ago, leaving behind torches, woven artifacts, and even human remains preserved by the cave's dry, stable atmosphere. In the 1800s, miners entered the cave to harvest saltpeter for gunpowder, further expanding access to its chambers. Soon after, tourists began arriving, drawn by its colossal scale and its unsettling, almost supernatural reputation. Guides told stories of mysterious lights flickering deep within the tunnels, or sudden gusts of wind rushing from sealed passages, phenomena that made some believe unseen forces were breathing within the earth. But not all of the cave's stories are simply folklore. Some are tragically real. Visitors occasionally wandered too far from their guides, became disoriented, and vanished into the maze, never to be found. One of the most famous cases is that of Floyd Collins, a skilled caver who became trapped in an impossibly narrow passage in 1925. His rescue attempt gripped the nation. Reporters gathered at the site, relaying updates across the country via telegraph. After 2 harrowing weeks, Collins died, his body pinned between unforgiving sheets of stone. His story cemented Mammoth Cave's legacy, not only as a natural wonder, but also as a place of unforgiving peril. Even now, modern cavers describe the system with a mixture of awe and unease. Some recount hearing voices carried eerily through the corridors, echoes bouncing so strangely off the rock that the origin becomes impossible to locate. Others speak of moments when their lanterns failed, plunging them into total darkness so absolute that the mind begins inventing shapes, whispers, and movement. Mammoth Cave is more than a geological structure. It is an environment designed to strip away every familiar reference point. In that silence, with the weight of the earth pressing in from all sides, people say the cave almost feels alive. Its depth is not measured like that of Verevkina Cave in Georgia, the deepest known cave on Earth, descending more than 7,200 feet. Mammoth's danger is not vertical, but horizontal. Its endless sprawl forms a kind of psychological abyss. In a vertical descent, explorers always know which direction leads to safety. But in Mammoth's twisting corridors, direction dissolves. A single wrong turn can send explorers miles off course, wandering through featureless stone with no clear path back. This kind of depth, an infinite, branching unknown, is arguably even more terrifying. Despite centuries of exploration, enormous portions of the cave remain untouched. Some areas are sealed because of hazardous gases. Others have never been mapped simply because no one has yet reached them. What lies inside those forbidden chambers is still a mystery. Undiscovered species, untouched archaeological sites, or colossal rooms that dwarf anything known. All remain possibilities. Mammoth Cave stands as proof that even in an age where satellites circle the globe, the planet still holds places where the unknown stretches on for hundreds of miles. That truth is unsettling. If natural geology alone can create a subterranean realm of this magnitude, complete with hidden corridors, collapsed passages, silent underground rivers, and lethal pockets of air, then secrecy beneath the surface is not purely a human creation. It is built into the earth itself. And if nature can conceal entire worlds, then what might lie inside the tunnels and chambers created deliberately by human hands? Places where secrecy was not an accident, but the entire purpose? Underground networks are not relics of ancient history. They remain one of the last frontiers of mystery hiding beneath our feet. In Mexico, an entirely different kind of hidden world was sealed beneath ancient pyramids, one filled with mysteries far stranger than tunnels alone. Beneath the ruins of Teotihuacan, a vast metropolis that once held more than 100,000 inhabitants, archaeologists discovered subterranean passageways that had remained deliberately concealed for nearly 2 millennia. The most remarkable find came in 2003 when heavy rainfall opened a sinkhole near the base of the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. Archaeologist Sergio Gomez descended into the cavity and found an entrance intentionally blocked with enormous stones. Once inside, he realized he had entered a tunnel running directly under the pyramid, stretching nearly 330 feet and ending in a set of sealed chambers beneath the heart of the temple. What Gomez and his team slowly uncovered was not simply an architectural wonder, but one of the most perplexing archaeological enigmas of the ancient world. Inside the tunnel were offerings of jade, seashells, ceramics, and thousands of finely crafted objects, including peculiar figurines unlike anything previously found. But the most disturbing discovery was the presence of liquid mercury pooled inside the sealed chambers, glimmering beneath torchlight like a shifting silver river. Why would a pre-Columbian civilization mine, transport, and store such a rare and toxic material deep underground? Mercury is difficult to obtain, dangerous to handle, and requires deliberate effort to collect. Yet for years scholars believed it was never used anywhere in the ancient Americas until this discovery proved otherwise. Some researchers argue the mercury symbolized an underworld river or a reflective lake used in rituals of transition, its mirror-like surface representing the boundary between life and death. Others interpret the tunnel as a cosmic map, a sacred recreation of the universe where priests descended to perform rites of renewal and transformation. The engineering itself reinforces these ideas. The walls were coated with powdered pyrite and hematite, minerals that would have shimmered like stars in the torchlit darkness. Archaeologists even found spheres covered with reflective minerals, possibly symbolizing planets or celestial bodies. This was not a refuge like Derinkuyu. It was a sculpted underworld, an immense ritual space where rulers, priests, or initiates moved through darkness to enact creation myths and commune with the divine. The secrecy surrounding it is equally striking. The tunnel had been purposely sealed in antiquity. Heavy stone blocks closed off the entrance, ensuring that no one could return. Whoever shut it down intended it to remain hidden forever. Yet constructing it in the first place required monumental effort. Carving through volcanic bedrock, transporting glittering minerals, hauling mercury across long distances. These acts were meticulous and purposeful, not casual or improvised, suggesting a society deeply invested in ritual and cosmic symbolism. This raises deeper questions about Teotihuacan itself. The city was one of the most powerful and influential civilizations in the ancient Americas, yet the identities of its rulers remain almost completely unknown. Unlike the Maya, the people of Teotihuacan left behind no inscriptions naming kings or dynasties. No royal tomb has ever been convincingly identified. Some scholars argue that authority was shared among priestly elites, while others suspect a deliberate effort to erase or obscure the identities of those who led. The tunnels beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent may hold the answer, a hidden realm where rulers were deified or buried, far from the eyes of the public. Yet despite years of excavation, no bodies have been discovered. Only symbolic objects and ritual offerings remain. This raises an unsettling possibility. Perhaps the tunnels were never intended as tombs at all. Perhaps they were symbolic underworlds meant to be sealed forever once their rituals were complete, leaving only mercury, relics, and silence behind. These discoveries challenge long-held assumptions about ancient American civilizations. For decades, textbooks insisted that liquid mercury was unknown in the New World, until it was found shimmering beneath a pyramid. Likewise, scholars once believed that only Egyptians or Mesopotamians engineered elaborate symbolic underworlds, yet Teotihuacan proves they were not alone. And while historians claim Teotihuacan's rulers simply vanished, the sealed chambers suggest their power may have been intentionally obscured. Even more intriguing is that Teotihuacan is not the only Mexican site hiding subterranean secrets. In 2018, radar scans beneath the Pyramid of the Moon revealed another possible tunnel system still unexplored. Excavations in the 1970s found a tunnel beneath the Pyramid of the Sun as well. Again and again, the pattern repeats: sealed passages, ritual offerings, deliberate concealment. Together, these findings reveal a city obsessed with the underworld. Above ground, the Avenue of the Dead stretched for miles, framed by towering pyramids. Below ground, hidden tunnels recreated starry skies, sacred rivers, and cosmic landscapes never meant for ordinary eyes. This duality, grand public monuments above, secret ritual chambers below, suggests a culture where power was intertwined with concealment. And while Derinkuyu forces us to reconsider how ancient societies engineered vast underground cities for survival, Teotihuacan forces us to confront why they engineered them for secrecy. Mercury pools, glittering pyrite walls, sealed chambers. These are not tools of defense, but instruments of mystery meant to veil truths we still do not comprehend. Yet Teotihuacan is not alone. Across the world, ancient cultures carved secret tunnels for reasons now lost. Some for ritual, some for refuge, and some for motives we can only imagine. What binds them all is the desire to hide, seal, and protect these spaces from the outside world. And nowhere is that drive more evident than in the tunnels we will explore next. The earliest concrete evidence of a hidden world beneath our feet emerged in Turkey during the 1960s. A man renovating his home in Cappadocia knocked down a wall expecting solid rock, only to reveal a dark tunnel. That tunnel didn't end. It continued onward, branching into narrow passageways that descended deeper into the earth. What he had discovered was the long-sealed entrance to an underground city forgotten for generations. Today, we know this astonishing place as Derinkuyu. It plunges nearly 280 feet underground, spreading across 18 discovered levels. Archaeologists believe it could have supported as many as 20,000 people at once, complete with living quarters, livestock areas, food storage, and water access. In functional terms, it was the size of a small town, yet completely concealed beneath the surface. The architecture is nothing short of extraordinary. Tight corridors widen into broad communal chambers. Massive circular stone doors, some weighing half a ton, were engineered to seal off sections of the city with a simple push. Ventilation shafts drop through multiple layers to bring in fresh air, some as deep as inverted modern skyscrapers. Wells accessed underground water supplies. Kitchens, storage rooms, wine presses, workshops, and chapels were carved directly from the volcanic tuff. Derinkuyu was no hurried shelter. It was a deliberately designed, fully operational subterranean city built to sustain long-term life below ground. The real mystery lies in how it was created. Carving a simple chamber in volcanic rock is easy. Excavating millions of cubic feet of stone, building structurally stable rooms, cutting ventilation shafts that still function perfectly today, and doing all of it with primitive hand tools, is another matter entirely. Mainstream archaeology dates the first phases to the first millennium BC, with expansions added over centuries. Yet the precision of its airflow system and the sheer mass of stone removed continue to puzzle modern experts. Engineers admit that constructing and maintaining such a complex network today would still present major challenges. So why build it at all? The standard explanation is that it served as a refuge. Cappadocia was invaded countless times by Persians, Byzantines, Mongols, and the ability to vanish underground would have been invaluable. From this perspective, Derinkuyu functioned as an enormous bunker where thousands could survive until danger passed. But this interpretation leaves many questions unanswered. Why construct chapels, wineries, and elaborate communal halls if the purpose was temporary refuge? Why engineer a labyrinth with choke points and stone gates unless the city served a greater, long-term mission? Some researchers argue that Derinkuyu was also a sanctuary, a place to preserve tradition, culture, and belief, not just human life. The carved religious spaces suggest a spiritual dimension beyond mere survival. Others propose that the city expanded slowly over generations, with each community inheriting a structure whose original purpose had already faded into legend. Adding to the intrigue is the near-total absence of written records. It feels as though the city was intentionally hidden, not accidentally forgotten. Derinkuyu stayed sealed and undetected until the 20th century, not because it collapsed or eroded, but because its entrances were deliberately closed. For centuries, people lived above without realizing a vast city lay just beneath their feet. Even today, many areas remain inaccessible. Some tunnels are blocked, and archaeologists suspect deeper levels exist, levels that have never been explored. Local stories claim that long tunnels stretch for miles, linking Derinkuyu to other underground settlements across Cappadocia. If these tales are true, then what we've uncovered is only a small segment of a much larger system. Cappadocia is dotted with similar underground cities. Kaymakli, not far from Derinkuyu, is immense in its own right. Dozens more have been identified, some modest, others sprawling, often separated by only a few kilometers. The possibility that they form an interconnected network of subterranean highways is impossible to dismiss. Derinkuyu may be the biggest and most well-known, but it is far from unique. It is merely one gateway into a vast, still mysterious underground world spread beneath central Turkey. What is undeniable is that Derinkuyu cannot be written off as a simple defensive shelter hastily carved with crude tools. Its immense scale, architectural precision, and purposeful secrecy point to a monumental undertaking, one that challenges conventional ideas about ancient engineering capabilities. And it invites a deeper question. If a city of this magnitude lies hidden beneath one ordinary town in Cappadocia, how much more remains undiscovered beneath the region's volcanic plains? Across the Americas, some of the most detailed and striking accounts speak of vast hidden realms beneath the Earth's surface. Countless indigenous traditions describe ancestors who survived devastating events by retreating underground, while others recount mysterious beings who still inhabit those depths, unseen yet ever present. These stories are not marginal or symbolic footnotes. They are core elements of cultural identity, passed down with reverence through generations. For the Hopi people of the American Southwest, one of their most defining teachings is the story of emergence. According to Hopi oral tradition, humanity once dwelled in an underworld, a shadowed, enclosed realm beneath the earth. Guided by spiritual beings, the Hopi clans ascended upward through a narrow passage until they reached the world above, entering the present age. That transformative journey from darkness into light is still honored today. Inside Hopi underground ceremonial chambers, a small hole known as the Sipapu symbolizes the ancient portal through which their ancestors emerged. It is a constant reminder that modern Hopi life is rooted in a past that began far below the surface. What makes these accounts remarkable are their shared details. Many versions describe people sheltering underground during periods of catastrophic upheaval. Some say earlier worlds were destroyed by floods, fire, or bitter cold, leaving only a small remnant alive by seeking refuge beneath the ground until the world above healed. The idea of multiple worlds, each ending and renewing in cycles, mirrors themes found in cultures far outside North America. The Navajo speak of previous worlds as well, each destroyed in its own calamity, until humans finally ascended into the current one. Cherokee traditions tell of secretive beings who live beneath the earth, occasionally surfacing but largely remaining hidden. The Mandan people of the northern plains recount that their ancestors climbed up from an underworld through a vast opening in the earth. Despite the huge geographical distances between these groups, the stories share consistent themes: humans surviving underground, enduring destruction, and emerging to rebuild life anew. When compared with archaeological discoveries, these traditions gain an even deeper resonance. The Hopi speak of ancestors who remained underground until safety returned above. In Turkey, the underground city of Derinkuyu proves that enormous subterranean refuges, capable of sustaining tens of thousands of people, were not just theoretical but real. One tradition is preserved in myth, the other is carved directly into stone. Yet both reflect the same instinct. In times of catastrophe, survival may depend on going below. It becomes plausible that these oral histories may preserve distant cultural memories of such real refuges. Oral traditions are not literal records, but they retain patterns. Themes of surviving in darkness, being guided or protected by otherworldly guardians, and eventually returning to the surface align with what archaeology shows humans have accomplished across ages. These stories may not recount events exactly as they happened, but they may encode truths about how earlier peoples endured disasters that reshaped their world. Another recurring motif is secrecy. Just as Derinkuyu lay hidden for centuries until its entrance was accidentally uncovered, many native stories describe hidden peoples who remain underground to this day, separate from the surface world. For the Hopi, the underworld is not merely an ancient memory. It is a living part of their cosmology, a spiritual landscape that continues to influence their identity. When these narratives are compared globally, the parallels become impossible to dismiss. In Asia, myths of Aghartha and Shambhala tell of vast hidden kingdoms sealed beneath remote mountains. In the Americas, Hopi and other tribes remember ancestors who emerged from subterranean realms after catastrophic destruction. Across continents, separated by oceans and thousands of years, the themes echo one another. The underground as a place of refuge, transformation, protection, and concealed power. While modern archaeology often interprets these tales as symbolic metaphors, the presence of real underground cities and labyrinthine tunnel systems shows that the line between myth and reality is far less rigid than once assumed. Legends of emergence and hidden peoples may be cultural memories of ancient survival strategies, blurred by time, reshaped by storytelling, yet still anchored in truth. This leads to the inevitable question: what else may lie beneath our feet? If oral traditions hint at underground refuges, and if archaeological evidence confirms the existence of such places in certain regions, then it is entirely possible that many more remain undiscovered, carved into stone, concealed by landscape, or long since forgotten. Some might be small sanctuaries. Others could be vast networks, their entrances lost to time, yet still hidden in plain sight. In the early 20th century, the Polish explorer Ferdynand Ossendowski journeyed across Central Asia, later publishing his now famous work Beasts, Men and Gods. Within its pages, he recorded a remarkable tale shared with him by Mongolian lamas, a tale of a vast subterranean realm known as Aghartha. According to these teachings, Aghartha was an immense hidden kingdom accessible only through secret tunnels concealed in remote deserts, isolated valleys, and the deep folds of mountains. It was said to be ruled by the enigmatic King of the World, a sovereign whose influence extended to the surface, subtly guiding human events through unseen and mysterious means. The descriptions Ossendowski recorded were vivid and unusual. A great underground world illuminated by its own internal source of light, sustained by technologies and ancient wisdom preserved from civilizations long vanished from human memory. Eternal illumination, secret gateways, towering halls beneath the earth. These depictions seem fantastical, yet they resonate with surprising familiarity when compared to other traditions. Tibetan Buddhism, for example, speaks of Shambhala, another hidden land of enlightenment and advanced knowledge. Some accounts describe Shambhala as lying somewhere in the high mountains, reachable only by those spiritually prepared or those who possess secret directions. Others portray it not as a physical place on any map, but as a realm veiled from ordinary perception, a domain of wise kings and enlightened masters who quietly watch over the world. The parallels between Shambhala and Aghartha are unmistakable. Concealed entrances, hidden realms of power, and ancient rulers separated from ordinary humanity. These ideas were later embraced by fringe theorists and occult circles, giving rise to the hollow earth theory. According to this notion, the planet might not be entirely solid. Instead, vast inner chambers, immense caverns, or even entire landscapes could exist deep within the earth. These internal realms were imagined as sheltering civilizations that survived ancient cataclysms or beings wholly unknown to surface humanity. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, such theories gained momentum among esoteric groups, who pointed to stories like Aghartha and Shambhala as evidence that disparate cultures were preserving fragments of the same ancient memory, accounts of hidden worlds beneath our feet. The intriguing part is how widespread similar stories are. Legends of subterranean peoples and illuminated inner realms are not limited to Central Asia. They appear across South America, in European folktales, among indigenous tribes in North America, and in countless mythologies globally. Entrances hidden in mountains, glowing lands deep underground, guardians or rulers who dwell below the surface. This consistency across cultures separated by continents and millennia suggests that such stories were rooted in something more enduring than mere fantasy. Mainstream archaeology dismisses hollow earth theories outright, and perhaps with good reason. But even if we disregard the literal idea of an entire world existing inside the planet, the persistence of these tales still carries weight. They reveal a universal human fascination with the underground, not as a realm of lifeless stone, but as a place of hidden power, mystery, and forgotten knowledge. And they invite a difficult question. Are these myths simply symbolic expressions of spiritual truths, or are they distorted echoes of real encounters with ancient structures, forgotten tunnels, and subterranean rituals now lost to time? One thing remains clear. The stories of Aghartha and Shambhala are not isolated curiosities. They are part of a vast global network of traditions describing secret worlds below the surface, stories that continue to echo through cultures across the world. Deep in the Ural Mountains of Russia stands a peak with a reputation unlike any other. Mount Yamantau looks ordinary enough on the surface, a remote, forested mountain range dotted with quiet towns and scattered villages. But intelligence files, satellite images, and decades of whispers paint a very different picture. According to these sources, the mountain is sealed, threaded with tunnels, and guarded with a level of secrecy unmatched anywhere else in the region. For more than half a century, Yamantau has remained one of the most enduring mysteries of the Cold War and the decades that followed. The story came into public view in the 1990s as the Soviet Union collapsed and Russia struggled to rebuild. American satellites had already been tracking strange activity around the mountain long before that. They captured images of enormous excavation operations, newly built railways and highways leading straight into the mountain's core, and entire towns constructed seemingly overnight to house the workers. The scale of the project rivaled some of the largest military-industrial undertakings of the Cold War. Yet Russia offered no coherent explanation for what it was building. When questioned, officials issued contradictory statements. At times, they claimed it was nothing more than a mining site. In other statements, it was described as a food storage complex, or even a national treasure vault. None of these claims fit the reality. A simple warehouse does not require railroads bored directly into a mountain. A food depot does not demand thousands of workers carving chambers visible from orbit. Every explanation only deepened the mystery. American analysts suspected something far more serious, a massive underground fortress designed for nuclear war. Both the US and the Soviet Union built bunker networks during the Cold War, but Yamantau appeared to exceed them all. The sheer scale suggested not just a survival shelter for government officials, but an entire subterranean city capable of housing tens of thousands. Reports and leaked accounts claimed it could store nuclear weapons, host full military command centers, and safeguard Russia's leadership through global catastrophe. The timing made Yamantau even more ominous. Construction continued aggressively throughout the 1990s. Even as Russia's economy collapsed, wages went unpaid and basic services crumbled. Yet the government continued pouring resources into digging deeper. Why was this one project preserved while entire sectors of the country fell apart? People living near the site described a level of secrecy that bordered on absolute. Access to nearby towns was restricted. Roads were blocked, and checkpoints manned by armed guards controlled every approach. Locals were warned not to ask questions. Some workers reportedly lived in closed cities, places so isolated that their residents' entire lives were tied to whatever was happening inside the mountain. Even today, the region remains sensitive, heavily patrolled, and deliberately inaccessible. Satellite imagery confirmed what residents whispered about: enormous spoil piles of excavated rock, proving large-scale tunneling beneath the surface. Railways vanished directly into the mountainside, hinting that whatever lay within required heavy equipment, machinery, or vast supplies. Analysts compared the infrastructure to known nuclear command complexes, but noted that Yamantau appeared significantly bigger and designed with far more ambition. The true scale remains unknown. Some reports estimate the underground area could exceed 400 square miles, large enough to contain not only bunkers but entire industrial complexes. Others claim the mountain could support a population of up to 60,000 people for extended periods, months, possibly years. If accurate, Mount Yamantau is not merely a command center. It is a hidden city carved beneath the Urals, built in preparation for a future no one hopes to see. To this day, Russia has never provided a consistent explanation. Western intelligence has never been able to confirm what lies inside. Yamantau remains one of the most classified and tightly guarded projects in the country, protected with the same secrecy reserved for nuclear launch codes. This vacuum of information has fueled speculation for decades. Some believe it is a continuity of government facility meant to ensure Russia's leadership survives a nuclear exchange. Others think it houses nuclear weapons, manufacturing plants, or storage sites hidden from international treaties. The most extreme theories speak of secret laboratories or doomsday devices buried deep within. Whatever the truth, the unanswered questions make Mount Yamantau one of the most unsettling places on the planet. Unlike ancient mysteries where time erases evidence, this is a modern enigma, deliberately concealed, constantly maintained, and fiercely protected. It proves that underground secrecy did not die with the Cold War. It is alive, expanding, and guarded by one of the world's most powerful militaries. And strangely, Even with all the satellite photos, expert analysis, and local accounts, the most shocking claims about Yamantau don't come from governments at all. They come from the few people who say, quietly and at great risk, that they have been inside. The Dulce Base story begins with a man whose claims continue to divide researchers, skeptics, and believers alike. Phil Schneider, a geological engineer, said he spent the 1970s working on some of the deepest and most secretive underground construction projects ever attempted in the United States. According to his testimony, he wasn't just drilling rock or carving tunnels. He claimed he witnessed, and survived, one of the most disturbing underground encounters ever reported. Throughout the mid-1990s, Schneider gave a series of public lectures describing a hidden facility near Dulce, New Mexico. In his account, the base was part of a vast network of DUMBs, deep underground military bases, connected by high-speed tunnels that crisscrossed the country far below civilian awareness. These sites, he insisted, were not simply bunkers, storage vaults, or command centers. They were advanced research complexes where classified experiments, genetic projects, and technologies far ahead of their time were developed in total secrecy. But the most shocking part of Schneider's story went far beyond secret labs. He claimed that during excavation, his team accidentally broke through a natural cavern that was already inhabited, and not by humans. Inside, he said, they encountered non-human entities. According to Schneider, the accidental breach immediately escalated into a deadly firefight underground. He claimed he was struck by a type of weapon unknown on the surface, a blast so intense it burned away part of his chest and hand. Dozens of soldiers and workers, he said, were killed in the chaos. From that moment on, Schneider alleged, the Dulce Base became a joint facility, shared between human personnel and beings of unknown origin. He described multiple underground levels, each deeper level housing stranger and more disturbing experiments. According to him, laboratories existed where scientists blended human and animal DNA, tanks filled with biological matter floated in dimly lit rooms, and clearance levels determined how much of this hidden world any worker was allowed to see. Schneider painted a picture of an underground realm, where science and secrecy merged into something that mainstream institutions would never publicly admit to. Yet, despite the detail and confidence in his claims, no physical evidence has ever surfaced to verify the existence of Dulce Base. No official documents confirm Schneider's story, and government agencies dismiss the entire narrative as fabrication. Still, the legend refuses to die, and part of that persistence comes from how the story echoes larger, documented patterns. Around the world, governments have built enormous underground facilities. Thousands of miles of nuclear tunnels in China, the rumored megabunkers beneath Russia's Mount Yamantau, and Cold War complexes that remained hidden for decades. If these projects exist and were kept secret for so long, believers ask, how much more might remain undisclosed beneath American soil? Even in the town of Dulce itself, strange reports have circulated for years. Locals speak of unusual lights darting across the sky, deep rumbling sounds coming from beneath the mesa, and unmarked helicopters flying low without insignia. Combined with Schneider's testimony, these stories have helped transform the Dulce Base narrative into one of the most persistent underground conspiracies in the United States. Critics point out that Schneider's accounts changed over time, and that he provided no verifiable proof that his injuries came from exotic weapons. But his supporters argue that he paid the ultimate price for telling the truth. In 1996, Schneider was found dead in his apartment under conditions that many of his followers describe as suspicious. Authorities ruled his death a suicide. To believers, it was a silencing. Ultimately, the significance of the Dulce Base story does not rest solely on whether every detail is correct. Instead, it symbolizes the enduring human fear and fascination with what lies hidden underground. Like tales of secret chambers, forbidden tunnels, and classified research buried beneath our feet, Dulce represents the idea that the most extraordinary truths may be sealed away far below the world we know. Whether legend or reality, it has become a powerful symbol of the underground itself, a realm where the most dangerous, controversial, or extraordinary secrets remain buried in darkness. To China, where in 1992, a simple act by a group of farmers turned into one of the most significant archaeological surprises of the century. The farmers had decided to drain a small pond that had existed for generations, filling a quiet depression in the landscape. Locals always assumed it was nothing more than a natural basin. But once the water was pumped away, what appeared beneath the surface stunned everyone who saw it. At the bottom lay the entrance to a colossal, hand-carved cavern. And this was only the beginning. In the years that followed, more than 24 similar chambers were found nearby, forming what are now known as the Longyou Caves, one of the most extraordinary underground complexes ever discovered. Each chamber is expansive, with towering ceilings, vast halls, and walls etched with precise, unmistakable tool marks. Together, these structures represent an achievement that defies easy explanation. Despite their monumental scale, there is no historical record, no inscription, no oral tradition that recalls their creation. It is as if an entire culture carved out a subterranean world and then deliberately erased every trace of its involvement. The sheer magnitude of the Longyou Caves is staggering. Some chambers rise nearly 100 feet high, with floor plans large enough to accommodate modern aircraft hangars. Their interiors are meticulously crafted, flat, smooth walls, sharply defined corners, and a striking uniformity across every surface. Thousands of parallel chisel marks cover the stone, suggesting an immense workforce operating with discipline and precision. In total, the carving of the caves would have required the removal of roughly 1 million cubic meters of bedrock. Even with today's machinery, such a project would be daunting. For an ancient civilization, the task borders on the unbelievable. And yet, these chambers undeniably exist, silent, empty, and unexplained. Archaeologists have struggled for decades to determine when the caves were created. Most estimates suggest they date back at least 2 millennia, perhaps to the Qin or early Han dynasties. But here lies the mystery. Ancient China was extraordinarily thorough in its documentation. Massive construction projects, no matter how mundane, were recorded with care. Yet not a single text mentions the carving of the Longyou Caves. No accounts of laborers, no orders from rulers, no purpose or usage. This absence is almost as mysterious as the caves themselves. Some scholars have proposed that the site functioned as a quarry, but this explanation falls apart under scrutiny. Why would a quarry have walls finished with decorative, uniform chisel patterns? Why are the chambers so meticulously shaped, with no rough sections or leftover stone debris? And why is there no evidence of habitation, storage, or burial? No artifacts, no bones, no inscriptions. Others have speculated that the caves might have been ceremonial or funerary spaces, yet no tombs, offerings, or ritual items have ever been found. Their purpose remains completely unknown. Adding to the puzzle is the fact that many chambers remain partially submerged. These flooded spaces have never been fully drained or explored, leaving wide sections inaccessible. What lies beneath the water, whether carvings, artifacts, or clues to the cave's function, remains hidden. Until those areas can be examined, a significant portion of the mystery remains literally underwater, deepening the sense that the Longyou Caves conceal something we have not yet uncovered. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect is the deliberate silence surrounding them. If these chambers were ordinary quarries, shelters, or granaries, why did their creators erase all memory of them? Not just from records, but from cultural memory itself. The intentional disappearance suggests that the builders had a purpose we do not comprehend, and that they wanted that purpose concealed. Whether they sought to protect sacred knowledge, hide strategic infrastructure, or simply vanished before they could pass down the story, we cannot know. What is certain is that the Longyou Caves defy every conventional expectation of ancient engineering. For researchers and investigators, the site poses an immense challenge. The tool marks clearly indicate human effort, yet the absence of written or archaeological context suggests something more enigmatic. Did an ancient culture possess techniques or technologies now lost entirely? Were these grand chambers built as emergency refuges, ritual sanctuaries, vast storage halls, or something far beyond our assumptions? Or is the design itself evidence of a mindset utterly alien to our modern interpretations? The Longyou Caves force us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Human history is incomplete, and sometimes entire chapters vanish. Even in China, a civilization renowned for its meticulous chronicling, massive architectural feats can disappear without a single written trace. And this leads to a deeper question. If a complex of this magnitude can remain hidden for thousands of years, what other secrets lie buried beneath ponds, hills, forests, or farmland, waiting for chance to reveal them? In the far reaches of northern China lies one of the most extensive subterranean constructions ever built, not an ancient relic carved thousands of years ago, but a vast modern network engineered in recent decades. This colossal labyrinth is known as the Underground Great Wall. Created by the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, this hidden world reportedly extends for more than 3,000 miles, a distance wider than the entire continental United States. Its core purpose is not in doubt. It was built to store, protect, transport, and potentially deploy China's nuclear arsenal. Yet beyond that basic fact, the system remains wrapped in secrecy. What the world knows comes from scattered hints, satellite images, a few leaked photographs, and rare investigative reports. These glimpses reveal tunnel mouths camouflaged to look like natural hills, blast doors disguised within rocky slopes, and immense concrete-lined corridors through which missile transport vehicles can move unseen. Analysts believe the maze connects storage depots, hardened launch sites, underground command posts, and possibly entire support cities hidden far below the mountains. The engineering behind such a project is staggering. To carve thousands of miles of reinforced tunnels through solid rock would require massive tunnel-boring machines, decades of continuous labor, and a budget of unimaginable scale. Chinese historical accounts suggest construction began during the height of the Cold War, when Chinese leaders feared a potential nuclear first strike from rival powers. By dispersing warheads and launch platforms deep underground, China ensured its ability to survive a nuclear attack and retaliate, no matter what was happening on the surface. Officially, China claims to possess around 500 nuclear warheads, but some U.S. defense analysts argue that the true number could be far higher, potentially hidden throughout the sprawling underground network. If those estimates are accurate, China may hold far more strategic capability than it publicly acknowledges. Accounts from defectors and mentions in leaked state documents describe enormous reinforced caverns, train-sized tunnels capable of housing mobile missile launchers, and underground maintenance complexes buried hundreds of feet below ground. Some sources claim the network spans across provincial borders, weaving through mountain ranges and linking key military bases in a web of subterranean infrastructure unlike anything built elsewhere. For comparison, during the Cold War, the United States constructed hundreds of fixed missile silos, static targets that could be located and destroyed. China chose the opposite strategy, a shifting, concealed, mobile fortress carved beneath its landscape, designed to make any attempt at preemptive strike uncertain and potentially futile. This secrecy has fueled global debate for years. In 2009, Chinese state media broadcast a brief, tightly controlled video segment showing missile trucks navigating through underground corridors, an unprecedented confirmation of the system's existence. Since then, however, virtually nothing more has been revealed. Western researchers have tried to map the network using satellite data and seismic signatures, but only fragments of the labyrinth have been identified. The full extent of the underground Great Wall, its size, capacity, and armaments, remains one of the world's most closely guarded military secrets. The comparisons are striking. The ancient underground city of Derinkuyu in Turkey sheltered 20,000 people. Mammoth Cave in Kentucky stretches for hundreds of miles. But the underground Great Wall surpasses both in scale and purpose. It is not a relic of ancient survival, nor a natural geological marvel. It is a modern underground fortress, engineered to hide weapons capable of reshaping the world. This continuity across history is revealing. Thousands of years ago, people carved chambers beneath the earth to survive invasions, disasters, and famine. Today, governments carve deeper and stronger caverns to safeguard their most destructive technologies. The instinct remains unchanged. When the stakes are highest, power is hidden underground. Most of what lies within the underground Great Wall will likely never be exposed to the public. Its entrances remain sealed, its maps classified, and its construction ongoing. But the fragments we do know are enough to show that even in an age of satellites, drones, and global surveillance, the most critical infrastructure can still disappear from sight if it is buried far enough below the surface.